I left that out. So every year we do about 3,200 posters that we get out to the schools. And once we get those out, the kids draw. We have OSU, they judge them, and then the winners get a t-shirt and then a ride to school in the fire truck. So that's also exciting.
Oh boy, the stakes are high, but an awesome prize. Wow.
Megan, I think Steve's probably being a little bit modest in what the fire marshal's office does when it comes to fire prevention education. We have some records that go back to 1958 where we were doing in-school fire prevention programs for the Stillwater Public Schools. And we also have to reach out and say thanks to the Stillwater Public Schools for allowing us to be a part of their processes and allowing us in to do some fire prevention with the students there. But it couldn't be done just with the fire marshal's office alone. There's 2 people that work that are dedicated to the fire marshal's office. But when we look across the entire fire department, we have 15 fire crews across 3 shifts that do a remarkable job when it comes to reaching out to the public. And it's not just for the youngsters of the community. We'll also reach out to population, the elderly, if you will. And we also have processes where we can go out and install smoke detectors or check smoke detectors, or, you know, if it's beeping and somebody has trouble reaching it or whatever, we'll be happy to send a truck out without lights and sirens to have it checked out and make sure that their home is as safe as possible. And we do that on a continuous basis. We work real close with Oklahoma State University with some of the student organizations up there on the fire prevention, as well as with the police department up there on their NDUI campaign when it comes to, they do some skits up there and some automobile extrication on an annual basis for the effects of intoxicated drivers, if you will, drunk driving. And it's really amazing the number of community outreach programs that the fire marshal's office works on. And Steve, you might touch a little bit about the car seat check that's coming up here too.
Yes, sir. October 30th, we have from 10 to 12 at 1506 South Main, Headquarters Fire Station. We're going to be conducting car seat checks and also a car seat giveaway. If you meet the criteria for the car seats, you will receive a free one. We had a generous donation from the Frontier Rotary Club of Stillwater that provided us with 12 seats that we'll be giving away. We also work with Safe Kids out of St. Francis, and they're going to be assisting us with this, and they also bring car seats down. So for this 2-hour event, we usually have cars lined up around the street, and it's usually 2 hours of car seat checks. On average, about 80% of the car seats that we check are installed improperly.
Wow. And
that's right on pace with the national average, about 80%. So it's real important that we get this information out and have many people come by. And also, people don't realize that if you've been involved in an accident before, that car seat is void and it needs to be replaced. So we do replace a lot of car seats, and we do install properly a lot of car seats. So the guys do a great job. We should have about 6 of our techs will be there along with Save Kids, so we should have plenty of techs to get people in and out, and it's really a great event.
Great. And you said that's Tuesday, October 30th, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and we'll have more information about that on our website. But really the amazing thing is that you all will schedule, if someone calls and wants to schedule a car seat check, you all have certified car seat technicians on your staff. And so you could schedule if that date doesn't work, you could call and schedule a time to come to a fire station.
Yeah, we have 2 car seat techs on each shift, so if you call and just find out where they're at and then you come by, we would be more than happy to look at your seats.
Absolutely. So we have contact information for the fire department at the City of Stillwater's website. So if you search Stillwater Fire Department, you can find the number to if they need to call about a car seat, or if they need to call, like you mentioned, if they need someone's help to check a fire, one of their smoke detectors or whatnot. Is there a specific number? Just call administration, or?
The easiest way is to call fire administration, and or you can call the City of Stillwater's switchboard and at 372-0025 and just ask for the fire department, and they'll connect you with the fire administration, and then we'll be able to direct your call to the correct person. When it comes to the car seat technicians, there is a possibility that they might be out of the station. So we, a little bit of notice will make sure you don't make a wasted trip trying to locate one.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I did want to take a little moment, Chief Riley, we want to talk maybe a little bit about the rural fire service.
Well, good evening. I'd like to welcome you to the November 20th meeting of the Stillwater Planning Commission. I'll call this meeting to order. Before we begin, or as we begin, I'd like to have introduce our two new members of our Planning Commission. Mike, if you'd like to tell everyone your name and...
I'm Mike Shanahan. Kind of feels like deja vu all over again, like Yogi Berra once said. I've been here before, served on the Planning Commission before, previously, so it'll be interesting being back. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm Vicki Jerome. This is my first time to be on the Planning Commission. I've been in Stillwater about 35 years, and I sell real estate, and so I'm kind of green at this position here, but bear with me.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you all being willing to serve for us. We have a miscellaneous item for Planning Commission. We have to elect a chair and vice chair. Do we have any nominations or motions?
I nominate Cindy for chair.
Do we have a second?
Are you willing to serve as chair?
Is it a 1 year?
It's 1 year.
I'll bring your mic down. You got to bring it down so we can hear you.
I'll second it.
All right. It's been moved and seconded that Cindy be elected chair for the upcoming year. Are you going to do? There we go. We will now vote. Any other nominations? Sorry. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? We will now vote. You see on your little board in front. And we have 4 yes and 1 abstain. The motion passes. Thank you. Do we have an election for the vice chair, please?
I move that we elect our new Mike as the vice chair.
All right.
He's been on the Planning Commission before.
I didn't know that this was part of the deal.
Yes.
Your pay will be double.
Do we have a second that the new Mike be elected vice chair?
Second.
All right. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? There being none, we'll now vote on the new Mike for vice. What?
You vote. You want it.
Oh, yeah, you're willing to do it. I guess I can ask you, are you willing to serve?
Yes. Yes.
There you go. Thank you. All right. And you'll see in front of you, we have 4 yes, 1 abstain. The motion passes, so we will change chairs in our next meeting, and so we'll go from there. So, excellent. Thank you all very much. We'll begin the public hearing, and the first item for business is a specific use permit, requesting review and approval of a special use permit to establish a medical marijuana dispensary at property addressed as 106 West Elm Avenue in the CG Commercial General Zoning District. Staff.
And this is actually a first because this is the very first medical marijuana dispensary application in Florida. This one's located at 106 West Elm. The purple boundary indicates the subject site. It's currently zoned CG. And let's see, T5 within the form-based code is to the west. And the CG is also located on the north, south, and east side as well. And on this property, you'll see there's essentially 2 structures. This one right here, and this one right here. This one with the light colored roof is actually a single-family residence, and the one out front is a commercial structure. This is a closer view of it. The commercial structure has a flat roof. Access and parking for the residential structure looks like it's on the north side of the building. This is a street and you're looking to the northeast. And you can see the storefront on the commercial, and sidewalk. And I believe there's on-street parking on the south side of the building, or south side of the street. Findings.
No.
Okay. Oh,
Ah.
now it is. It is now. I just pushed it. Sorry. Okay. The findings for this application is the proposed use is comp plan compatible. It's compatible with the Oklahoma state law. And medical marijuana dispensary is a permitted use in the CG zoning district. Are there any questions?
Is the house actually occupied that's connected to it as a residence?
It's our understanding that it is, yes.
Other questions? Any other questions? There being no more questions, thank you. And
Sorry, I was
Okay.
too slow. Lance, is there a distance requirement in the zoning from, like, distance from the facility to schools or any other type of use?
Yes, I believe it's 300 feet, is that correct? Or, oh, it's 1,000 feet.
And it's just schools? Okay.
Other questions? Okay, then we will go ahead with the public hearing then. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the item, please step forward and give your name and address for the record. All right. Seeing none, anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the item, please step forward, give your name and address for the record. Okay, seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing and ask for staff's alternatives.
Let's see, the alternatives are accept the findings and recommend approval, or you can accept the findings and recommend approval with conditions, or you can find that the request is not appropriate and recommend denial, or you can table the item to a certain date.
All right. Any additional questions for him or discussion? All right.
I do have one question. There is a residential unit that faces the other street. Is there access between the two dwellings or the two buildings, or are they just strictly two separate entities?
Are you talking about the structure that's right behind?
Yes.
Okay. That's a question that we don't really have an answer to.
Is there an applicant here who could answer?
I can answer that. I'm actually resident.
Jamie, you have to come up. Get on camera. Identify yourself.
Sorry.
I'm Jim McCollum. I live at 712 South Kings. There is no opening between the two structures.
Thank you. All right. Discussion.
I move to accept findings and recommend the city council approve the specific use permit as presented.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we accept staff findings and recommend city council for approval. We will now vote. The motion passes 5-0. The next item for business is a specific use permit requesting review and approval of a specific use permit to allow conventional single-family use on the RTM residential two-family and multifamily zoning district at properties addressed as 423, 424, 501, and 505 South Gray Street, and at 514 South Pine Street. Staff.
Yes. The specific use permit before you is located on 5 different locations. Actually 3, but there's 5 different lots. There are 3 lots over here, 4 total on Gray and 1 on Pine. And these are, the red boundaries are projects that are similar to what this applicant is proposing. And all these properties are zoned RTM, residential, two-family, and multifamily. And a specific use permit is required for single-family structure. Oh, and also there are a number of different, say, duplexes, and toward this actually closer to 6th Avenue, in some existing residential single family right up here. This is the site plan, what they're proposing. It's a single family style home with 6 bedrooms, approximately 3,000 square feet. The drive will be 22 feet wide, and the front yard will basically be paved, and that's where the parking spaces will be. This is an example of what it could look like. And this is looking south on Gray. There are the 3 houses on the left is actually the location of where the proposed homes will be constructed, and there's a house over here on the right is the other location. And on Gray Street, there is no parking, or parking is not allowed on Gray Street. This is a view looking to the northwest on Pine. The blue house is the location of where they're proposing the structure. And this is, the one right next to it is an example of what, I think this might be a 7-unit structure here. But it's the same general concept. Parking in the front, and typically a 2-story structure. An SUP is required for single family in RTM. Two-family and multifamily are allowed in RTM. The plan meets the requirements for parking, setback, and lot coverage, and the area is mostly single family. Are there any questions?
Questions?
What are the parking requirements for that type of residential?
For this type of residential, it is, let's see, 1 parking space per bedroom. No? I thought that's what.
Just 2 per, okay. The number of bedrooms doesn't, okay.
What was the, there seems to be some confusion on that matter. We'll find that out, though.
Yeah, we'll find that out real quick.
That's a good
But,
question.
Okay.
Other questions?
So it's a single-family structure residence, correct? Is this in the Westwood overlay?
It is not.
It is not, okay.
Okay. Okay, clarification on the parking. For residential single family and two family, one or two bedroom, it's 2 spaces per dwelling unit. And then for residential single family and two family, 3 or more bedrooms, it's 1 space per bedroom.
So, yeah, so the smaller ones,
So
there's
6 or
more,
7.
but larger, there's fewer spaces required, essentially.
One space per bedroom.
And, yeah. Other questions?
I have a question. I don't know if the applicant is here to address, but
Oh, no.
when looking at the, let's see, the site plans where they show the parking spaces as a stacked, I noticed looking at some of those large existing homes that are there, the large, especially the large brick ones that are set back fairly, they seem like they're set back far enough that they've got angled parking, and it looks like they've got a good 3 on each side, a good 6, without the blocking in that this sort of arrangement that's shown in the site plans here would have shown. Is that something that was not feasible for these sites, or I'm wondering why the proposals show blocked-in cars as opposed to angled parking?
That's a great point, and when you look at some of the other similar type developments within this area, I've got the picture, but people do park at an angle on the side. The space won't be striped,
Oh, okay.
so
Okay, so this is not, okay, it's not going to be striped, it just shows a theoretical accommodation.
correct.
Okay, we'll open the public hearing then. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this item, please step forward and giving your name and address for the record. Okay. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the item, please step forward. Okay, I'll close public hearing and ask for staff's alternative.
Let's see, the alternatives are you can accept the findings and recommend approval, or you can accept the findings and recommend approval with conditions, or you can find the request is not appropriate and recommend denial, or you can table to a certain date.
Discussion, questions?
I move we accept findings and recommend the city council approve the specific use permit as presented.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept staff findings and recommend city council for approval. Now vote. The motion passes 5 yes to no 0, to no no's. Humor, share humor. We will now move on to specific use permit, SUP 18-07, requesting review and approval of specific use permit to establish a medical marijuana dispensary at property addressed as 1103 South Perkins Road in the CG Commercial General Zoning District. Staff.
This is the second specific use permit before you concerning a medical marijuana dispensary. It's located at 1103 South Perkins Road. The purple boundary indicates the subject site. It's on the east side of Perkins. It's currently zoned CG. CG is to the north and also to the south of the site. Light industrial is across Perkins to the west, and public is to the east. This is a view of the building. I believe there'll be 600 square feet of retail space for the dispensary. And the findings, this one as well is compatible with the comprehensive plan. It's also compatible with Oklahoma state law. And the CG zoning allows medical marijuana dispensary and a SUP with SUP approval. Are there any questions?
Questions? No, I guess not. We'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this item, please step forward and giving your name and address for the record. Seeing none, anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the item, please step forward and give your name and address for the record. All right, we'll close the public hearing, ask for staff's alternatives.
Let's see, once again, accept the findings and recommend approval. Or you can accept the findings and recommend approval with conditions. Or you can find that the request is not appropriate and recommend denial. Or you can table it to a certain date.
All right, thank you very much. Any other questions or discussion?
Parking on this one, is there a parking standard for off-street parking on this?
Yes, it's one space per 300 square feet. So two spaces.
Okay.
I move we accept findings and recommend the city council approve civic use permit as presented.
Seconded.
It has been moved and seconded that we accept staff findings and recommend city council for approval. We'll now vote. The motion passes 5 yes to no no's. All right, we'll now move on to the next item. Badian Properties LLC map amendment, MA 18-07, requesting review and approval of annexation into corridor redevelopment area and approval of a map amendment to rezone property addressed as 102, 106, 112, 114, 116, 122, and 124 South Main from CG, Commercial General Zoning, to the T5 Transcept 5 Zoning District. Staff.
Yes, this is a map amendment for properties located at the southwest corner of Elm and Main. Basically, the 7 lots from that intersection. And the map amendment would basically or essentially rezone these properties to form-based code, T5 zoning. And this is a view from Elm, and let's see, this property, and this property you can see pretty clearly. And moving down to the south, this property, this one, and this one, and will also be rezoned.
Just since you're pointing to it, this one, are you intimating that the one on that the end of it is not, that there's like a part of that strip that's not, or is it all the way to the end of that strip there?
All the way to this building right here.
Okay.
That is correct.
Sorry.
And the findings, what has to happen for this, the properties actually have to be annexed into the corridor redevelopment area. And it basically becomes part of the form-based code area, and they've designated T5 as the zoning request. The map amendment rezones a property to the form-based code.
Remind me what the number of stories for T5?
The maximum number?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, how many stories? 5 stories. Yes. Yeah, it's, what, T6 is, what, 7?
Everything on your end? Was that everything on your report?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Are there questions for staff?
And I don't know if you can answer this, but maybe this is somewhat speculative. What would be the intent of this rezoning? Would it be to allow more flexible design that can be put in this corridor? Is that the intent, perhaps?
Yes. Essentially, that's the intent. We've not received any plans, so it's
Right.
kind of hard to say, but yes, that is the intent of the rezoning.
That's typically what a form-based code does.
Correct.
Okay.
It moves away from the traditional land use.
Right.
Yeah. And it basically concentrates more on the design,
Okay.
the
All right.
height and
Thank you.
coverage. Yes.
It's a reasonable question. Good question. Other questions?
The applicant, okay, I see there's a list of several. Okay, so the applicants encompass all of the property owners of this chunk.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you very much. Then we'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the item, please step forward and giving your name and address for the record.
Roger Ghost, 113 East 8th, on behalf of Ghost and Associates. If you got any questions, we've had several projects come in that have this property and the property to the east, the contiguous property to the east. And from all the site plans, everything, it all works better if it's all under form-based code. So that's why the request is here. Any questions? Mike.
Sorry. Question?
Is it to the east or to the west?
I'm sorry, to the west.
To the west.
Okay.
East is a road. I assumed you meant west.
Sorry.
I'm sorry for the record.
No.
That's
I
why
was
Mike's
confused.
going.
There you go. That's okay.
I'm not really directionally challenged most of the time.
I am directionally challenged, so.
Okay, it's across that alley.
Across
where
the
it
alley,
ends up
and
being.
that's what I assumed, and I have
Right.
no problem with that. It's just, when you said east, I got confused there.
Okay, and the reason it only goes partially down Main Street is that's all Mr. Badian owns. Okay.
Understood. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of the item? Seeing none. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and ask for staff alternatives.
Let's see, you can accept the findings and recommend approval, or you could find that the map amendment is not an appropriate use and do not recommend that the city council approve the map amendment. Or you can find that additional information or discussion is needed and table the request to a certain date.
Any questions, discussion?
I move we accept findings and recommend the city council approve the proposed map amendment as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept staff findings and recommend city council for approval. We will now vote. The motion passes 5 yes to no no's. We will then move to the next item for business is the approval of the regular meeting summary of September 18, 2018. I have a motion to accept.
I move to accept the minutes.
Ooh.
The question is, who can second it, since nobody except the chair was there present?
Somebody that was at the meeting has to make the original motion.
And I was at the meeting. I made the motion.
Anybody else can second and vote.
All right, I'll second it.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes of the regular meeting September 18, 2018. We'll now vote. The motion passes 5 yes to 0 no's.
Yeah.
We'll now move to miscellaneous items from citizens for discussion only. A presentation by Roger Ghost, private citizen, requesting speak about amendments to previously approved development projects. Sir.
Roger Ghost, 111, so 1120 East Connell, okay.
Which side of the road is east? Sorry.
Over the past year, I've been sort of watching projects around town, and we have projects that have had the requirements call for a landscape plan. Landscape has either not been put in or it's died and not been replaced. It was part of the site plan. And some of the developers that have been called about that have fixed it, some haven't. If we're going to have landscaping requirements, which I think is good for the community, we ought to require it to be maintained to the plan that was presented when the developments were approved. So, as you go forward, I'd like you to consider something along that lines to ensures that. The other item is planned unit developments require they require a public hearing of the neighbors. They require exhibits that show the facade, elevations, facades. That's for Dennis's use. So we have these public hearings, and we show the neighbors what's going to be there, and it shows the materials, whether it's going to be hard surface wood, that type of thing. Those renderings are then typically what get built. There's planned unit developments now that are changing the facade without going back to a public hearing. When I asked about it, one of the reasons was, well, now it's in the form-based code and the original public hearing PUD doesn't apply. I don't know that that's right. If it is, I think it needs to be fixed, because the project was represented to the public in this form, and if it's changed, and it says right in the ordinance, amendments to an approved preliminary PUD shall require public notice. And then if the argument's made, well, it's not a PUD anymore because it's in the form-based code, I just think you lose the strength of the PUD and the assurance that the neighbors hopefully get from having a planned unit development and seeing what's going to go in there. It's concerns I have, just wanted to bring them to you.
Thank you, sir. Can we take questions, or can we ask questions or anything?
If there's questions.
If there are any questions, if anyone...
Can't take action.
No actions, but if anyone has any questions or comments on that?
I have a question for planning staff, development staff, if they're willing to answer it.
Thank you, sir.
My past experience has been that the site plans and elevations, and usually architectural plans, are approved as part of site plans, and traditionally we would see in the well, not so much building permit issuance phase, but final permit, final inspection, and prior to issuance of occupancy permits, that there's verification that those plans are adhered to, including landscaping plans being completed, which they can also have their own criteria. What process does the city of Stillwater follow in, enforcing these conditions of approval and seeing that they are accomplished as permitted? If you were able to answer that on the spot, you didn't quiz.
If I can speak, I think that these are very important questions, and we need to have time for the planning staff to review that. I would like to have this on the next agenda to address these two areas. Mr. Goes brought up some very important points. I'd like you to get with him to give examples. And in other words, landscaping is very important.
Mm-hmm.
How do we enforce this?
Yeah.
If it does die, how do we do? What ramifications do we have? And then the PUD, in terms of changing materials, has that been done? Is it only been done in certain areas because the PUD is no longer a valid document? I don't know, but I believe it's important enough that we need some research and put it on the next Planning Commission meeting.
We can definitely do that, yes.
I would agree with that. It wasn't meant to be a pop quiz, Lance.
That's fine.
I know
I've been in your position many
Yes,
times.
yes.
I agree. Completely.
I believe that I should give you some time to review and look everything up and come back with a presentation.
We can definitely do that, yes.
Thank you.
Did you want to set it for the first meeting or second meeting in December?
Which one do you think would be most?
What are those dates?
December 2nd. December 4th and 18th.
Okay, so do you want us to ruin your Thanksgiving plans or your Christmas plans? No.
I have no problem making it on December 18th.
Okay. Yeah, it gives us a little bit of time. And we've met with Roger in the past, and he's got some really good ideas, so.
All right, we look forward.
Yeah, and in particular, it would be really helpful to see or to have the flow of approvals, or whether it be contractual or bonding or permitting or whatever the legal instruments are that are purportedly in effect at each stage, and who's responsible. You guys have separate building, code enforcement and inspecting and so forth, or whether that's under all one umbrella and so forth.
Yes, and, you know, I guess one way to put it is that we don't send people out there actively to look for violations. People will call in, and then we'll go out there and, you know, identify who the owner is and contact them. So.
Well, a good example then would be following the landscape plan approval process to whatever its natural end would be. Like, for example, you know, does anyone look at it once occupancy permit is issued, or does it have its own life? I'm familiar with those types of things getting bonded and requiring an inspection for bond release, but that's a whole nother level of things. But whatever you guys do currently would be enlightening.
Yeah, we can provide you with that, yes.
All right, very good. Thank you. Number 7, miscellaneous items from staff. Announcement remarks about matters of general interest, city business, discussion or action. I have 3 things on our agenda: introduction to Planning Commission responsibilities, discussion of commission training, and then our next meeting, of course. Yes, hello, Paula.
Good evening. Paula Dennison with Development Services. What I am going to do is give you a very, very, very high-level rundown of Planning Commission authorities, where it comes from, and at the state level, and then locally, our city code, what articles of the city code the Planning Commission has authorities under, and the laws, regulations, and master plans that the Planning Commission also has influence on. State statutes, Title 11, Article 18 is Article 38 is Urban Renewal, 39 Improvement District Act, Article 40 Neighborhood Redevelopment Act, 41 Surveying and Platting, Article 42 Vacating Plats and Public Ways, Article 43 Buildings and Zoning, Article 44 Board of Adjustment, and Article 45 Municipal Planning Commission. Those are the state statutory articles under Title 11 that impact the work that y'all do as sitting planning commissioners. Under Stillwater City Code, and the City Code is available online, Chapter 2, Article 3 is authorities, boards, committees, commissions, and trusts. That actually establishes the Planning Commission, and it identifies the roles, membership, et cetera, of the Planning Commission. Chapter 23 is our Land Development Code, and that is our zoning and our subdivision regulations by which the day-to-day activities that staff does. Your role is, as you have seen tonight, specific use permits, map amendments, consideration of incorporating other properties into the corridor redevelopment plan, which is one of the long-range plans that we have. From a long-range planning perspective, the C3 plan, which is the Stillwater Comprehensive Plan, it was adopted in 2013. The Corridor Redevelopment Plan, it was adopted in 2012. Those are very critical considerations. If you will notice on every one of your Planning Commission reports, it talks about the comprehensive plan and how the request complies or not with the comprehensive plan. So that is one of the, or it is the main guiding document for decisions made by the Planning Commission from a vision, a long-range vision standpoint. Another interesting piece that Mr. Buchert has been recently involved with is the review committee for tax increment financing districts, or TIF districts. Under state law, the Planning Commission is to have a representative on that review committee. And the last TIF consideration back in the spring and summer for the downtown campus link TIF, Mr. Buchert was the Planning Commission's representative on that review committee. So there's a lot of things outside of just this meeting on the first and third Tuesday night that affect what you do, how you do it, and the authorities that you have with the City of Stillwater. We do have 3 tax increment financing districts. One is the North Perkins TIF, and the familiarity of it, we just call it the Academy Development Site because it's that whole piece of property. The Highway 51 West TIF, which is approximately Western Road to the westernmost city limits. The property's right along Highway 51. And then our most recent one is the Downtown Campus Link TIF that was recently passed this year. There are some other items of interest that either come before the Planning Commission or a planning commissioner is involved in these plans. The transportation plan for the entire community that is currently being updated. The land development code, of course, as I mentioned, but so y'all will know, at the staff level, it is currently being updated to be released to the public, will be coming to the Planning Commission. The multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan, that's probably not something that just rolls off of everybody's tongue as a sitting planning commissioner, but we partner with the school district, Payne County. The previous plan, Oklahoma State University also partnered with us to prepare that state-required and FEMA-required hazard mitigation plan of what we can do better, even from the planning standpoint, to mitigate the impacts that natural hazards and events have on buildings, people, property, the way we get around where our critical facilities are, other infrastructure opportunities. So the Planning Commission plays a role in that as well. And after conversation with the City Council recently, we are looking for a comprehensive plan update, either just pieces of it, whatever needs to be evaluated and updated, or a full comprehensive plan update, and we're looking for that to occur beginning in 2019. So there's a lot of stuff on y'all's plate that, surprise, you got it coming to you. Some of it is working now, the rest will be coming over the next couple of years. I do want to show you right quickly on the stillwater.org website, if I could, there they go. We have these planning documents available on the website, and MuniCode is the host for our land development code and all of city code. So if you're interested, find a document and it will take you to the document center. Master plans has the master plans that the city has adopted. There's an annexation plan. The C3 comprehensive plan is here, core commercial districts plan, bike plan, corridor redevelopment plan. There's all kinds of master plans that we have available if you really want to dig down and see what all is happening, what can be changed and updated, because a lot of these, the time is right to update them as the transportation enhancement plan. We also have, if anyone is interested in learning more about tax increment financing, we have a page that has quite a bit of information on it. There is a frequently asked questions page, but it talks about TIFs. It identifies the 3 that we have. If you click on these, you find more information about those. And we are working to, anything happening in these areas, update this page. As planning commissioners, I would like to show you one other thing, and I'm going to take this opportunity to show the public who may be watching as well. On the stillwater.org page, if you scroll down to where the circles are, there's one, development projects. That is the identification of the active projects that are going on around the community. This is a highly hit page on the city's website. There's a lot of interest. Folks drive around the community and they wonder what's happening, what's going on there. And this is their opportunity to take a look and see, for example, we'll click on Greek Life and you've got Wesley Foundation. Oh, nope, that's Lambda Chi. Wesley Foundation was already off. Lambda Chi, it can tell you where it is, what it is, the specific details, the locations, whom to contact, a lot of information out there for the public. We have not been able to provide this service to the community or our customers until the last couple of years, so it is very highly appreciated by everybody out in the community. Be happy to answer any questions about the roles and authorities of the Planning Commission. Like I said, this is a very, very, very high-level overview.
I want to point out to the other commissioners that we have a great planning staff, and that even though we have lots of activities due, we rely on them to gather information for us. And if we have any questions or want them to gather other information, they are very customer service oriented in getting that information. And at any time, if you want to call them, they will be happy to talk to you about any particular item.
Yes, and that's what we're here for. Y'all have questions when you get your packet, give us a call, come see us. We would love to sit down and talk with you, especially before the commission meetings if you have questions. Okay, thank y'all.
Thank you. Planning Commission trainings.
Yes. Since we have new members, and some members have probably never been through the training process, we'd like to establish a training for Planning Commission. And Mike, I don't know if you were involved in any of the previous ones a number of years ago?
Yes, I have been involved in it, but
okay.
I'd be more than happy to attend another one.
Okay, sounds great. But we really want to find out, good times and, possible dates or days of the week, which, you guys would be available.
Tuesday or Thursday evenings work out best for me.
Tuesday or Thursday evenings.
Not on Planning Commission nights.
Good point.
Would be good.
Yes. Yeah, good point. Well, what I can do, I'll send around an email so everybody can kind of look at their schedule.
Yeah.
And then you can just
look
respond.
for something in the first quarter of 2019. Is that what you're thinking about, or when are you thinking in terms of some timing?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Right. So yeah, send us some ideas, and we'll look at our calendars and see what's available.
Yeah.
Things like that. We appreciate it.
That'd be great.
Very helpful.
We'll be using kind of the basis of what Paula has developed in the past, and we'll enhance that and update some of the information. So, and make sure that everybody has all the items that they need.
Wonderful. So appreciate that.
Yes.
All right. I don't have anything else on my agenda, so do we have a motion to, our next Planning Commission meeting will be December 4th, 2018. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. We'll now vote. The motion passes 5-0. Thank you all for your service. Got in for